Hello, everyone. I was sitting around singing and thought that's something that's a good recreation for me. But I also do a lot of research. So today, what I'm going to start with is a timeline and kind of bring you up to speed a little bit about what's gone on and what's kind of been hidden from us. In about 13,000 BC, there's remnants of Nubia and Ethiopia in Africa. And since then, as we move up in time in the BC era, you have civilizations in Turkey and especially in Mesopotamia, which they claim to be the first known civilization or cities in the world. However, Ethiopia, Nubia, Kush, those areas existed long before that. So, with that being said, the Ethiopians and the Nubians branched out and created the civilizations of Samaria, Mesopotamia, as well as Kemet, which is we now know as Egypt. And throughout those systems, there were religious systems that were put into play, and it was all related around sun worship or the worship of the sun. Each day the sun would rise and the sun would set in the evening. And each day as it resurrects itself, it would be bringing new life into the world, as we all need sun to be able to survive. So with that being said, these god systems or these systems that they had in place were put there as a celebration to the sun or an overall view of what we view as the sun. Now, we know something called the Anka, which was a symbol of life, and it was the representation of the blending of man and woman to create a child. And this particular story began in Ethiopia, Kemetic area, and then also branched out to Samaria and Mesopotamia as well, which also had the same types of storyline. Again, all falling in line after Ethiopia and Nubia. So, with that being said, you have the father, which was someone by the name of Asar. It can be Asar, Ausar, that he's been looked at as the father. Asar had a brother. His name was Set. Set slayed Asar, brother killing brother story. You'll understand it throughout my videos later, what I mean. And Asar was married or had a wife who was Alset. So his wife was named Alset. Alset lost her husband prior to her being able to give birth. This is where your first virgin birth story is going to come into play. Asar was killed by Set. His body was supposedly cut into pieces or whatever and scattered along the Nile in Africa, and 13 body parts of his were found. This 13 number is very critical, and you'll learn throughout history that this number was very significant. So, with those 13 pieces that were found of Asar's body, Alset worked together with a kind of spirit sense to recreate the missing parts of Asar's body that was missing at the time. It was his reproductive organ. That is what we now see as obelisks, and they were also called tekens during those times, which they built in representation of the ability to be able to recreate or erect a symbol for Asar to be able to recreate with Alset. And then you have the first virgin birth of Haru. Haru in Mesopotamia or the Sumerian areas, and many, many names as we come up towards our time now. But you have these three entities, Asar, Alset, and Heru. This was the form or the three trinity that we knew of prior to the one we see now, where there's only a father and a son and a mixture of a Holy Spirit. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. So we're just going to stick with Ethiopia and Kemet, which is the main area in which Asar, Alset, and Heru was worshipped in. This trinity was a symbol of life. Heru was born of a virgin, which was from Alset. He had a child life that was remnant about till he was about 12 years old, went silent, and the next thing we know about this guy, he gets baptized at the age of 30. Story sounds real familiar, right? And then he is killed, or he dies at the age of 33. Again, another age or time frame. And then he was then resurrected into a God sent. So with this story, again, you have a brother killing brother story. You have a virgin birth story. You have a son who is avenging the death of his father, or avenging his father in some sort of way with an uncle of his. And then you have him dying at a certain point in time. You also have the Tekken, the obelisk, which is the representation of Asar, from him being killed. And those obelisks and Tekkens are all over the world now. Europe, America has one, and one of our most notable ones is the Washington Monument, which is also funny that it's also called the Bill Clinton Monument. So if you understand a little bit about the story of Asar and him being killed and his male reproductive organ kind of being missing from the scene, you'll understand what the Bill Clinton Monument or the Washington Monument actually stands for. And these people knew this coming through time. So you have this three person trinity, trinity that are involved, the man and the woman coming together to create life in the Son. The story itself goes throughout time into India and Hinduism. It goes into China and Chinese, goes into Europe, and is then taken on, the same story is taken on by the time the Council of Nicaea, which I'll speak on another video later, came about. There was already debate on what they were going to do with this Trinity. They had to make changes to it because women were not seen as any type of life bringer. They weren't important in Europe. So with that being said, they had to be eliminated from this Trinity. So the woman was removed from the Trinity. Then you have the Father, the Son, and she was replaced with a spirit. A spirit. So here's your three-person Trinity. I'll talk more when I get on my video on the Council of Nicaea. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.